Hi, a very warm welcome to all our viewers and listeners on Coffee Talk with Jonathan. In today's episode 6, we are going to talk about the meaning of leadership and company culture in building a successful business. So Jonathan, once you are ready, we will start.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you.
So as a first question, who inspired you to be a leader? Was it your mentor?
Oh, it's a very good question. But I don't have a short answer for it because since I was a kid, I was it came natural to me the role of leadership. So I'm not one of those leaders who were inspired during their first jobs and found out that maybe leadership is something for me. So it has already always come. I would not say easy, because it has also been a process, of course, to grow in that role. There's so much to learn when you want to be a good leader, right? But since I was a kid, it just came natural to me. It was relatively easy or natural for me to just take a leadership role, even in primary school. But later on in my life, of course, I have had inspirations, people I have looked up to, and one to point out for me, even though he worked within politics, is Nelson Mandela. I think he inspired me and inspires me a lot in the way he holds a leadership role, and the way he treats people around him, and the way he's a kind of a torchbearer in regard to holding a strong vision and get people around him to become a part of that strong vision, which, by the way, is also a crucial part of becoming a successful leader. It takes that you are a kind of a visionary, if you ask me.
It's really an interesting question, and it's a question I have been asked many times, and I can still not give a very good answer to it. It's not because other leaders are not inspiring me. They certainly do, but I think my strongest focus is on who really inspires me, and that's the people I meet daily. That's my people in my companies. That's my partners. That's those I meet every day. They teach me the best lessons because they are the ones that are holding the mirror. They're the ones that help me to grow to my next level in my strive and effort to try to grow them to their next level. My capability to grow them to become successful in what they do, realizing their ambitions and realizing their dreams, kind of show my success of actually helping them doing it. It's not my success, it's their totally, but that process daily, success and failure, is working with people, meeting people, is what inspires me the most. So no, to be honest, I cannot point one single business leader out and say, oh, this woman or this man has inspired me, to become the leader I am today and to become and grow myself into the next levels. other than Nelson Mandela, as I already mentioned, but he's not a business leader, right? But to me, it's being a political leader or a business leader, I believe it's some of the same crucial skills and values and mindset you have to become good at it. It's, they're in many ways aligned. We cannot just separate and say, okay, a political leader is very different, need to be very different from what a business leader is. No, leadership is leadership in many ways. And I have already mentioned a lot about, what I believe it takes to become a good leader, right? So, and that's the same for both. So, yeah, I think that's my answer. It's not a very good answer because it doesn't answer your question directly, but to be honest,
consider it's a good answer because I understand completely. Like the leaders, a good leadership quality, whether they can, if they developed it and they're a good leader, they can work in any domain, and they all have to be a visionary and they have to think for their people. So, but what do you think? Like, what kind of a mental barrier in this modern world or in the current world scenario leaders generally face as a mental challenges?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. There's a lot of potential mental barriers you meet. Both those you have inside yourself, meaning your own psychological obstacles or negative patterns that you have to kind of overcome to become a better leader. But if we should look at it from a bit bigger perspective, the world meets us with a lot of challenges, of course, which can create certain less positive patterns or barriers. And one of them to mention, actually, I believe is, we live in a paradigm of with a almost religious approach to economic growth. And that influences all people, and it also influences, of course, our politicians, but it also influences leaders around the globe, right? So this pressure, the demand for economic growth is also the sentence in a company, right? You need to grow your business, right? So it's kind of a huge pressure that comes from a certain belief. I would say in some ways almost religious belief. If you have this discussion with economists and politicians, and it's almost religious today. That create that creates a certain mental barrier because you adapt to that belief, I would say, which is in many ways an illusion, if you ask me. The need for constantly, forever going economic growth. That is the paradigm we are living in. Actually, a side note on that, the COVID-19 and the crisis and the lockdowns around the globe hopefully helps us to look at all this from another perspective. That life is much more than just economic growth. We certainly need to build, create, innovate. And economic growth is not just bad, it also creates jobs, which is very positive. Jobs in their, developing the third world. And that's crucial to get people out of poverty. Absolutely crucial. Also one of the main core points of what we do in One People and in our investment group, in Impact Business Investment Group, is to have that approach that through social impact-driven entrepreneurs, creating impact businesses, create jobs, and therefore creates prosperity for more people, lift them out of poverty. That's absolutely crucial. So I have nothing, I would say it's not just bad, it's a belief. When a certain sentence or belief become a religion, it easily deroute the best path for humanity. And it starts with you, it starts with your own company, it starts with local, it starts with your community. But you can scale it up and look at it from a global perspective and say humanity. It deroute, the best path for humanity. So back to the point about mental barriers. How is that a mental barrier? Yeah, it's a mental barrier because you start thinking as a leader, as a business leader, that your growth on your revenue growth is the goal. Your profit growth is your goal. And if you ask me, that's actually turning it upside down, because that should not be your focus as a leader. You could say it's a side focus or a focus on the side, but growth on the top line or on the revenue line and growth on your profit line is just a result of something much more important. If you really want to become a successful leader or a successful entrepreneur, and that is your ability to grow, nurse, mentor a team of people. The better you are at that, the better your revenue line will be or become. The better your profit line will become. So it's a result of the crucial part, your ability to grow a successful team. So if you want to build success within business success, whether you're a leader in a big corporation for a department or you're an entrepreneur, business owner, it's the same. It's about people, your ability and capability to build your people, so to speak, grow your people, find the right team, and lift them to their next levels. When you succeed with that, everything else will grow and become successful. And that's what I mean when I say revenue, profit, KPIs, any kind of goals, or key number growth or goals are just a result of the other. So it's a matter of where you have your focus. You start focusing on your team 100%. Be there 100% for your team, always, 24/7, 365. You starting having that identification with your people. As you are a real family, I mean it as a real family by heart. Nurse them, mentor them, be there for them, always. They call you in the middle of the night and you are there for them. When you put in that mentality, when you put in that mindset, you are already on the path of growing a fantastic team. The natural result from that is success, is outer success. Outer success like a revenue line, like a profit line, like a successful company, like a successful brand, whatever it is. But you need to have the right focus. You need to focus on what really matters and what really creates success. And that's my point when it comes to a mental barrier, because this ideology or almost religious approach to economic growth changed that focus from most of our leaders into the wrong part. They focus on the numbers. They shouldn't. They should focus the right place. Grow your team, grow your people, and the rest will succeed.
Okay, so now we will move on to our next question. So, what do you think? What are the importance values a leader should have?
To me, the most important or core values good leaders should have is actually being, I would say, planet thinking and people thinking.
Okay.
First and foremost. So it's a matter of being able to take responsibility at a larger scale than just for yourself, your own career, maybe your own small team, or the company's KPIs or goals. So a very good leader is a visionary who is capable of holding that vision, radiate that vision, and that comes from being purpose-driven, I would say. And that's what I mean by planet and people thinking. You have to kind of have a value of including the bigger perspective. A bit more down to earth, I would say a good leader and his values or her values is first and foremost about people. That you like people, that you want to grow people. And when I say grow, I mean, of course, help them develop into their next level, so to speak. Lift them, inspire them. So it's very much about, when it comes to values for a leader, it's very much about people. And so you actually need to like people very much. I'll not be a judge, but it's relatively rare in the business community. Leaders has a strong drive towards I would say taking truly care of their people, thinking people first and foremost. I think it's crucial to succeed. Of course, it's possible without that kind of approach, without that kind of thinking. But if you really want to build something big, if you really want build something of importance, you need to have a purpose that is bigger than KPIs, short-term goals, profit. It needs to be bigger than that. It needs to be a positive impact, a real change you can create, or being a part of creating. And that can be small scale, so to speak. That can be in your own team, in your own company, or locally. But it can certainly also be at a much larger scale, or global scale. So it's like being on a mission, I would say. When you have that drive of being on a mission, and you have at the same time you have that understanding of no success is built alone. All success is built with people that you are able of attracting, so to speak, to the same vision that you hold, and become a strong team to realize that vision. that's how real change is built in the world, if you ask me. And that's much bigger. That's a much bigger perspective than certain KPIs or short-term KPIs or short-term goals like profit or whatever it is, right? Those are also important. So that's not my point. My point is, if you really want to make an impact, you need to bring it up to a higher scale. So how do you put that into a certain value? When you ask me, what kind of value does a good leader have?
Yeah.
Right. How do we put that explanation into certain values? I don't know, but it is about being able of seeing a purpose with what you do, and that you really want to bring real change for your people around you, and maybe even to the world outside your company. To me, that's the most important thing. I know a lot of leaders and entrepreneurs would disagree in this, and that's totally okay. But to me, that's some of the crucial ingredients, I would say, in a good leader. Because to me, a good leader is one who is taking the whole leadership role to the next level, and that's about the world, the impact in the world, and that's about people. First and foremost, that's about people, and it starts with you. It starts with the team you have around you, that you treat them like your family. So maybe you could call that a value, that you as a leader, you are not building a company, you're not building a team or a group, you are actually building a real family. Of course, not by blood, but by heart, and live up to that responsibility as a leader. That's crucial. And when you do that, you are taking the first steps towards success, if you ask me. Again, back to what I said before, you are not building any kind of success alone. It's only possible when you realize that you need people.
Okay, so now we will move on to our next question, and I think this question is very relevant in the current world scenario. Sometimes it happens like during a time of trial when you started thinking universe is conspiring against you. So what's really drives you to move forward?
Good question. I have to say though that I don't believe that the universe is conspires against me. I don't believe in that. But what do I do when we meet? We are in times of trials, and what do I then meet that? I have been from a very young age had a very optimistic and hopeful and strong belief, positive strong belief, I would say, in the future, and I bring that in to how I meet challenges, even big challenges like the COVID-19, as we are experienced right now.
Right.
So what I do is to see we have challenges, but I look into what kind of opportunities that bring, that brings to the table, so to speak, and make my decisions from there. I don't believe, or I don't think that it's possible to grow to have any kind of personal or business growth if you rely your whole approach on negativity and hopelessness, and just because you meet challenges, it's you go into a kind of a state of sadness or anxiety or self-doubt or any kind of these feelings or emotions. But so you really need to turn it 180, and look into everything from another perspective. And a very good approach to that is to be, on one side, analytical or fact focused, rational, and on the other side, being heart driven, so to speak. And with heart driven, I mean that's where you bring the hope and the opportunities and the gut feeling into the equation, so to speak. And you focus there and never go into a state of anxiety, say, or let fear take control over you and your decisions. Because when you let fear in, you have already opened the door for your decisions will be from a point of fear instead of from a point of hope or opportunity or yeah. So that's where we make the right decisions. The right decisions are made when you put the mind, that means the facts and the rational and the logical together with the hearts, because that means people. It means take care, not just for yourself, but for your people and for the community and even for the world. That's the heart. So to me, it's very important to hold that state in your consciousness, in your focus, daily, because it takes a lot, but it becomes easier when you practice it. And that might actually be one of the most important points talking about leadership. If you want to be a good leader, you need to daily look into yourself. You need to look in the mirror. And you need to have a motivation of personal growth, becoming a better human being. Because as you do that, you at the same time practice your understanding of being human. Because you begin to understand the psychological patterns in you. But when you understand yourself, or practice the understanding of yourself, your own patterns, you slowly begin to build an understanding of people in general. And in that way you become a better, not just becoming a better human being, but you actually becoming a better leader. Because you have a better toolbox to help the people you have around you. And that's what leadership is about. It's helping the people you have around you. It's lifting the people you have around you. It's you having a 24/7 approach to how you can cover all bases around your people, around your team, or what I call family. Nurse them, take care of them, support them, mentor them. Let them get the get the wins. Let them feel the victory or the victories, but with an approach of full responsibility, of the willingness as a leader to take responsibility for the mistakes made. Because in the end of the day, a good leader really understands that, or what I mean is a good leader really understands that in the end of the day, there's only one responsible, and that's me as a leader.
So thanks for the answer. And with the in your answer you talk about people. So people create company culture also. And we will move to our next segment around company culture. So how important do you think the company culture is to building a sustainable and a profitable company?
Crucial. That's my short answer. Yeah, it's totally in line with what I just spoke about. Building a successful team, having that focus, attracting the right people is a part of that journey if you want to scale. And scale is crucial if you want to bring your business up to another level, so to speak. But when you build a group, when you build a team, when you build people, right? You grow people, have that focus. You are at the same time building a culture. Culture is an interesting thing actually to talk about, because culture is, what is culture? What is culture? Culture, is that something I put in, or is culture something we build together? Of course it's the latter. So I think too many leaders, or that's my experience, too many leaders maybe are not looking at business culture as an important ingredient in building success. So they don't steer any culture. They don't necessarily steer the ship through a strong culture, you could say, because they might not find it important. But I would say it's crucial. It's crucial because culture is what is the inner and outer expression of a group of people. And that's why culture is built together and not just by a certain sentence on the wall of the company or a certain idea from the leader or the entrepreneur. Culture is something you build together. But culture starts from the values and the vision that is set to steer the whole ship, so to speak. Around those values, around those qualities and vision, around that why you are in business, why the company is here on the planet right now, right? What is the company's why? That's what I mean when I talk about vision. So around that, and through a focused and steered process from the leader or from the leaders, together with the people in the team, you slowly begin to create a certain culture around those values, around that why. When you nurse that culture, when you keep on growing and make it even sharper, that culture and that team of people who have built the culture, which is now the company culture, is radiated to the world. And with radiated to the world, I mean It's radiated because everything coming out of that company, whether it's the customer service, their sales team, the marketing team, the product design team, whatever, all the peers in the company, all the people in the company radiate that culture. And they radiate it in everything they do 24/7. Okay? So that's how the outer world meets the company. So do you have a strong culture? It's certainly the foundation for success as well. But again, back to basic or back to the core point, everything starts with the people. Because it's the people who together build that culture. And that culture becomes the company culture. And that company culture attracts the right people to that team, new employees. But that company culture also radiates even further to the customers, to the partners, to the world in general. That's how strong brands are built. So it's absolutely crucial for success.